Hello, hello. Turn this one off, turn that one on. All righty. Oh, you know what? I wonder if I need to wear these. I can't remember. But it can't hurt, maybe. I don't know. Might help. Why the hell not type thing. There we go. So, good morning, good morning. Isn't this unusual? Being on the YouTube early in the morning versus TikTok, though I'll be on TikTok in like an hour. I thought I would mix it up. Good morning, Cheryl. Nice to see you. Hopefully, again, you can. And Becky, my goodness, doesn't it feel like just yesterday, just last night, we were all kind of hanging out together, huh? On YouTube, of course, because none of us have as far as I know, nobody here has met people in real life, though that could change in a minute. So hopefully you can hear and see me. Yep. Awesome. Becky, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. Heather MC. Yo, Heather MC in the house. Love it. Yeah, Patty is commuting. Okay. Pay attention to the road. Look at the road. You don't need to see whatever's here. You know what this is, right? So there we go. Shannon in retrograde. It's been a while. Nice to see you. I was looking up something. What was it? And I just wanted, this is funny. This is funny. Anywho, good morning, everybody. And Melody and Leslie. Yeah, hey, it was like 12 hours ago, perhaps, that a number of us happened to just, show up on the Destination Decluttered, I must say TikTok, YouTube live. And here we are again. I hope you got a good night's sleep. Coffee and calm. Kim Harris. I love it. You know what I realized? I don't have my coffee or my calm. Perhaps when my husband wakes up, I will ask him to bring me a cup of tea because I'm going to be on TikTok. Excuse me. Force of habit. I'm going to be on YouTube for this next hour, and then I'm going right into TikTok, and then I'm hitting the road. Going to go have some fun. So thank you for the reminder. Okay. I did get some water in today. I have already had some water this morning. Again, woke up with a little bit of a headache, so I took something for that. Took a shower. That's a thing. So I hope you all got a good night's sleep and you are starting out this day in a good way. Barbara Howe, maybe? Barbara's got to teach, but after last night's video, I washed the dishes and did the recycling, did some quick banking, took care of a cat, and got in a quick swim and shower. And if I remember correctly, Barbara, weren't you feeling kind of tired? So notice you gave yourself a rest and then you had energy to do things you kind of, chores-ish, but also funs-ish. There we go. Ooh, storms in the Berg, Becky. Okay. Let me see what it's going to be like here because I want to make sure our patio furniture is okay. What do we got going here? So yeah, I hope you have good weather where you are. Yes, we've got a 20% chance of rain today, 15, 75 on Saturday. Glad I'm not going to be here. So there we go. Inspiration and rejuvenation. Barbara, love it. Well, thank you for stopping by. I know you said you can't stay, but thank you for dropping in and letting us know what the difference makes to take a break, to get a little to take a break, to get some inspiration, and then be rejuvenated. Now, I just put on some moisturizer. Rejuvenation sounds like something they would probably put on the label of some sort of, lotion and potion. Okay, notice is my hydration word this morning. Always feel better with some water. Notice how you feel if you don't drink. I say enough, and enough is a relative term, enough water. I get kind of cranky. So I already have actually in the kitchen. I meant to bring it in, but I distracted myself when I was getting ready here because I had to remember. It took mental energy to remember not to just immediately come in here early in the morning and set up for a TikTok. It took energy and me doing something different to do something different, to show up on YouTube. And notice where your habits are. I kind of love it, Leslie, because when you give me whatever your hydration word is, I try to incorporate it a bit, not to drown you, but to get you hydrated. Now I have my water bottle in the kitchen. Um, and I will say that it is good to figure out how you're feeling. How you begin the day can influence how the first few hours go, and how you feel throughout the day can also. You can feel good, bad. You can feel all sorts of the rainbow. Taste the rainbow of Skittles, of uh, when you don't feel good. Now, excuse me. I'm going to say. Let me just type in something to room service, and I'm a bad typist. You are. Do do do. I don't text like the kids do. I type with one finger. So, Barbara, thank you for stopping in. Thank you for stopping in. Here's the good thing about notice, and I kind of love the word notice. Again, Leslie, pick and choose how many things. Noticing is being observant. Good morning, Dawn. Noticing is kind of pausing and getting out of. Here's a good one, especially because destination decluttering life coach Beth here. In the road trip metaphor, noticing is kind of like when you're prior to noticing stuff, when you're going through your life. I bet a lot of it is on autopilot, on cruise control. That's the one I was thinking of. Okay. And noticing something is being aware of what is going on and getting out of cruise control and actively participating in the speed with which you drive through. Now, I'm kind of sticking with that driving metaphor, and if you've ever driven in a car that has cruise control, you know that it keeps you at a steady pace regardless of what's going along. And the fun thing is that so many of us, I mean, even me, notice, I guess I do say it a lot. Uh, I literally had to be so mindful this morning. I wrote myself a post it, I put it on my big screen right here. I made it noticeable. So I didn't come in and immediately get into habit mode, routine. Um, I want to say autopilot, but it's almost like I'm not like a Google Drive car or whatever they call those things, but cruise control, where you just immediately get in the hand jive, as my mother would say, where you're just, and the body does this a lot. Your human body tries to routinize things because it takes less energy, mental energy, so it conserves that precious energy in your head. Noticing what's going on around you. Even think about it when you're in your car, being aware, even when you're on cruise control. Is this feeling good? Is this pace feeling good? Or am I creeping up on the person ahead of me? Am I on cruise control, but suddenly I'm kind of falling behind? Or um, it looks like there's something happening way up ahead. Maybe I should be a little bit more active in my participation of the driving, because that gives me more control and it allows me to be more responsive to when things pop up. So all of us go through and do things kind of mindlessly. Like I daydream all the time. I got in trouble for it. Not got in trouble, but it was noticed when I was a kid in school. When things get routinized, you can kind of get bored by them. So this was a thing, frankly, this morning or a few days ago when I got the TikTok live, YouTube live schedule for the people on the in the email group. I decided to mix it up, because why the heck not? Keep it active. Look at us practicing showing up on YouTube before TikTok, and being noticing things and being curious. Think about, how we often say the opposite, like we think of the opposite word, and we usually go from like the negative backseat driver word into kind of the more helpful co-pilot word. Well, it works both ways. So notice that you have notice you have a choice. So let's say notice and curious are on what I call like the co-pilot voice. Like I speak in a co-pilot voice. What does that mean? It means I'm here to encourage you. I am here to help you figure out the path. I could give you some suggestions, but it's ultimately you who decides where you go. And I'm there with you regardless of what road. If you decide to take this road and not this road, It's fine because this is you in the driver's seat. But notice and curious are on this side because noticing and being curious kind of opens you up to different things, makes you more engaged in life. Because the flip side, not noticing, not noticing something. What's the opposite of that? Being oblivious, unaware. If you have another opposite for the word notice, the put it in the comments, okay? And Marietta, nice to see you. I love Melody that you're going for a walk when the live is over. I'm going to do the same. Okay, so noticing something. What's a negative association? Not noticing something. Okay, and curiosity, unaware, again, being kind of oblivious and unaware. Okay, the opposite of noticing, observe is the same. What's the difference? What's the difference? If you're not aware, you're ignoring, right? You're ignoring something, or you don't even actively ignore something because you are clueless to that it exists. So do you want to be, and I'm only using this in the kind of word, do you want to be ignorant? Do you want to be ignorant? Or do you want to notice things? Do you want to be oblivious, clueless, unaware, uncurious? Or would you rather be curious and engaged and noticing? So I offer to you, you have a choice. Pick the opposite. Pick the word that makes you feel better. Okay. Um, and it's fun to play. Yeah, oblivious. Even though there's a really good song by a band called Aztec Camera from the 1980s called Oblivious. I swear I have that on a mixtape somewhere. Am I revealing? Yeah. Overlook, right? As not necessarily overlooking like a scenic overlook, but you're overlooking, that's a good one too. Do you want to overlook something that you didn't notice? Notice, boy, you're going to get some or hydration today. When your brain is on a certain wavelength, let's just call it that. When you are using the part of your brain, when you are in that kind of not paying attention mode, that's when you don't see, sometimes you legitimately don't see something right in front of you. When you get out of notice and curiosity, I think is like lights up a different part of your brain. When you're just kind of duping around, doing stuff on autopilot or cruise control, that's when you may not see things. But when you kind of shake it off, rub your eyes and look at things with fresh eyes, you get out of that kind of, again, I think of just cruise control, like cruising along, which can be fine at times. There are definitely times for that. But that's when you like misplace. Where is that thing? I didn't even realize where I put the scissors the last time I used them. I put them down somewhere and I walked away. I wasn't intentional to put it back. I didn't practice being intentional and put the scissors back where the scissors belong. So it's really, our brains work in lovely ways. Catch yourself if you find yourself kind of, as I said, cruise controlling through life, just going whatever the flow, whatever the speed your car is going. You're like, well, I guess this is how I'm going it. No, get off cruise control. Put your hands on the steering wheel, put your foot on the gas and close to the brake. And remind yourself that just like driving a car, you have more control over your life than you may have been led to believe by external people or the backseat driver in your own head. So think about that this morning. Here's a fun thing. I don't know if any of you drive to work or you have some place you are driving to today. If you have the ability to take an extra couple of minutes to get there, leave a little bit early and take a different route. Take a different route to go from point A to point B today. Notice how that kind of makes you more aware of your surroundings. It makes you more engaged. Even if you can't, even if it's only between point A and point B and there's no way to get it. Like, or you need to get there by a certain time, be observant, engage in what is going on. Now, when there are times when you're on the highway, perhaps, and you can put um, your uh, autopilot on, and then engage your creative brain and daydream. Always keep an eye on the car in front of you. Always be aware of your surroundings so you can more easily respond to and not react to what's going on in your environment, because we are not, you know, in a video game. So I just offer that to you. Does that help? I hope so. I hope so. You know what's funny right now is I am so used to doing what I do is that I feel like when I'm winding down something I'm saying and I realize that I've talked a lot and I have perhaps not given you guys the opportunity to chime in. I hope you do. I hope you don't feel like when I'm talking that you can't use the comment section. I always want to have you feel like you can say something. But when I don't see a lot of activity in the comment section, I want to make sure I say something. But as I wind down, I noticed my habit of doing that and then kind of turning for my teacup or my water bottle to uh, hydrate my throat. So let me ask you this: what are you guys getting into today? Is there some decluttering you want to do today or this weekend? Since I will not be live on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I'll be alive. I will be alive. Um, Anything you have planned that I can help you with. This is really while I'm here. You've got a plan. You've got an idea of something you want to do, and I show up in your life to help make it easier. Two brains are better than one. I have a certain perspective. I look at things from my perspective, which is of a decluttering coach, which is of somebody who appreciates working, as my Boston accent creeps in, smarter, not harder, right? Be smart. Don't work hard unless you have to. And even then, can you be smart about it? I know myself, I will say, not necessarily this weekend, because I'm going to be doing a lot. I have a very um, scheduled weekend from the time we leave today until I get home, like midnight on Sunday. I have a lot of stuff going on. However, I come home on Monday. My husband, I have to drive him somewhere. And then here's a really interesting thing. And I want to share this idea with you because I think this was really cool. Many of us are doing things for other people in our lives. Excuse me, I got a cough. If you color coded the stuff that you do for yourself in like a certain color, okay? This is the color of the things I do for myself. This is the color of my work that I do for other people, like my job, my paying job. Okay, this is the color that I do for my friends and family, right? Um, if you color coded, if you went through today and these next few days and maybe the next week just as an experiment, and you color coded the things on your to-do list, the actions you're taking, and this is really kind of decluttering or categorizing, really, because we talk about categorizing your clutter in your home, your laundry, your dishes, your jumbled up stuff on a table. But your calendar is something that you can get curious about what the categories are too. This is one of the things that was very literally eye-opening to me, and I realized this kind of on some level, but I hadn't done it, which is how much I feel like my schedule is cluttered because of the things that are on my calendar that actually have to do with like my husband, and not necessarily the stuff I do for him, but just the things that I'm being aware of. There's a lot of details. We share calendars. And as soon as this morning, as soon as I unchecked on my digital calendar, the things that were strictly about him that I was not participating in, man, and I'm going to look up my calendar right now because I only looked at it on my phone. Man, does it look different. So I offer to you, just for fun, tomorrow, this weekend, maybe Monday through Friday of next week, when you kind of make your calendar, and I hope you do. I hope all of you went to one of the notebook parties, that you are using those tools that you learned in real time. If you didn't, also remember, well, if you did, you also have access uh, to the what do you call it? The training, the recording of of the one that you went to. So do that as a refresher. But I say this to you is because your brain may be thinking that you are more busy than you really are, or you may be really busy, but it may be because of other people and you don't have a lot of stuff in your calendar for yourself. Okay. Um, so think about the percentage of time you spend doing things for yourself. Think about, where's my one? Like, rightly so, many of us have a lot of our time spent on the external job that pays us. But then also, what are you doing for other people? And is there a balance? If it was a pie chart, what percentage would be what color? And do that almost to get curious and notice it. So, as an experiment, okay? Because I'm not saying suddenly get where you say no to everybody and you quit your job and then you're like, me, 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 me. Though you could do that. I'm not going to stop you if you want to do that. But you can get the balance right. You may be surprised to know that it's like a sliver of the pie of your time is spent on you. And the other two big chunkalunkas are work and other people. Now, again, much like being on the road, driving, we live in a kind of a combo world. It's not just in a silo. But what you could say is then you could get curious about one of those chunks. Do I really need to be spending as much time on that big chunk that I currently am in the habit of doing? And when you ask yourself a question, please, please be polite, pause, and allow your inner voice to speak up. Now, both of them are probably going to speak up at the same time, and usually the backseat driver is going to be the first one because they're always chatting at you. They're like the chatty Cathy in the background. They're going to be like, nope, got to do it, got to do it. If I don't pay as much attention to those people, I'm a bad mother, I'm a bad wife, I'm going to be a poor employee, they're going to fire me, I'm going to get in trouble, somebody's going to be mad at me. However, your co-pilot is like, I don't know. I'm curious about that. Let's notice if there's a place where I can shave off 10% of what I have previously been in the habit of doing on autopilot, devoting to other people. And what if I decrease that just by 10%? How many minutes of the day would that be? What else could I do with those minutes and start to put those minutes into like the jar of time for myself? Something to think about. Something to think about. Marietta, that sounds like fun. Marietta says, I just came back from an impulsive 5-day trip to Brighton, UK. I flew with just a carry-on. Talk about traveling light. So I decluttered my usual travel style of overpacking. It felt actually liberating to fly out. Earlier, we were talking about opposite words. Notice the difference. Notice when, and I love this travel metaphor, Marietta, so I hope you had a wonderful time. And I want to say this. I imagine myself walking, and this was an image I've had in my head for years, and I've made it come true. Metaphorically, as in life, but also in real life. How much easier it is to go through life with just a carry-on. Think of that. She said it felt liberating. She decluttered. She didn't overpack. And she just had a carry-on and it felt liberating. Liberation, free, lightness, ease. I like those words. Those are the words I want to get into my life. Think of the opposite. Overpacking. Now, this is where I get a little bit dramatic because I think of like steamer trunks on like the Titanic or something, or just those people. I mean, we were on a cruise ship. Luckily, it wasn't the Titanic, but those gigantic suitcases that people have. And I imagine them kind of instead of filled with clothes and everything, but all the stuff they're afraid they might need. So How do you want to travel through life? Are you dragging along too much stuff because you're afraid you might need it someday? And then you get to the end of your trip and you realized you didn't need like 90% of it. I was on a cruise ship last week and my small suitcase, it's in the other room. I had my small suitcase and a slightly larger carry on bag. And even me in my small suitcase, I had clothing that I did not wear on that cruise. I had things I wore over and over again and nobody noticed and I was fine. So notice how Marietta is coming over and she's practicing decluttering, and decluttering kind of transcends the stuff that's in your house. Decluttering is your calendar. Decluttering is the way you move through the world. Decluttered. Less random stuff that doesn't really matter. Okay. So, yay, Marietta. I freaking love that. That's awesome. And also, just an impulsive 5-day trip to Brighton, UK. Rock on, lady. That sounds like an awesome time. Now, I love this too because Lady Bandit 78 is going through some tough stuff. She's having to, and if you don't mind me sharing, I'm sure you do. They are needing to put her mom in an assisted living facility, which is traumatic, dramatic, all the traumas and dramas, and cleaning out the house, the family house that the mom lived in. So that can take a lot. So there are going to be times in your life where you are devoting, where's my numbers here, my things. You are devoting more time to other people and less for yourself. Last night when we did our TikTok live, Kara from Kara's Gardens, you guys have probably seen her name in the comments. She too has taken some time out of her life to devote her time and energy to her best friend's dad's garden and taking care of her best friend because the dad had a spill and can't take care of the garden. Both of you have noticed though. Hey, I just conjured up Kara in the comments. So both Kara and Lady Bandit, okay, are noticing that they're good people. They've got hearts. As I like to say, I got this out of a Trixie Belden book. Talk about a deep cut. They've got hearts as big as horse blankets. So they are spending, and notice when you spend something, spend money, spend energy, spend time, that it gets depleted and it needs to be refilled. So if you are spending time on other people, you may start to feel depleted. In order to replete yourself, spending some time, taking some time to fill up your tank will make you feel better, and it will allow you to go back in and help that person because you have more energy. If you do not replenish yourself, I will just speak from personal experience and observing it in others, noticing it in others. Anybody who chose notice as your hydration word. If you don't replenish yourself, you will show up more crabby and more resentful to the other people. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me and how I grew up. But I know, like, for example, 4 years ago, when I started helping up my mother with the clutter in my family house, I showed up with a full tank. I was ready to go. But as I was doing this, and I was surrounded by this stuff 24/7, and I felt like I couldn't escape, and there was nothing else I could do. And my life that I live that's in full Technicolor here at home started to seem like a black and white dream. I started getting snappy. I was snapping. I was being curt and short and angry and terse and mean and not the patient, loving, what's the other word I was thinking of? Patient that I want to be, that I usually am. And what I realized was I totally, for everybody's benefit, not just mine, for everybody's benefit, it really helped for me to step away and take some time for myself. I don't know if that rings a bell with you, but if it does, you're not alone. Notice when the balance is off. It's like I'm going to try to do a driving metaphor. When the balance is off on your tires, when you're focusing on one, or, or let's say I can't do tires, maybe, all there, you're using one tire, the other ones get out of whack as well. Okay. Yeah. So Patty is noticing, and notice you using this huh, um the past tense. Patty M is saying, yeah, I spent, past tense, a lot of time on routines, taking care of and doing for others. Life changes in the household. Those routines no longer exist. Major reevaluate. Yay, you want to come say hi? Look who just showed up.
Hello. Good morning.
And he just showed up with a cup of tea.
Some tea.
Thank you. Can you bring me my water bottle too in case it's too hot?
Yep.
Thank you. I got good service here, huh? Ellen, good to see you. See you next week. Life changes in the household. Those routines no longer exist. Major reevaluate and reboot. Yes, sometimes these things change without notice, but don't get overwhelmed by it. Oh, you're so good. Yes. And Lori knows caretaking takes a toll physically and mentally. Oh, honey, yes, he is a sweetie and he is a keeper. He is a keeper. I would fight to the death if anybody tried to take my man. There we go. I love it. Oh. So notice that there are times where you will spend more time on other people, but that is still just a chapter that is temporary. Patty's daughter going off to college changes the routines that were in the house. My sister and brother-in-law, both their kids are off at school now. They're doing the empty nesty thing, right? My dad died. My mother was suddenly in the house by herself. And that's crazy to realize that was 15 years ago. Now, Kara says, I just opened this app. Her massage is at 10 o'clock. So yay for getting a massage. I got one yesterday and I rubbed some massage oil on my arms today. I still smell like a massage. I love it. But we don't even know Kara's BFF. But feel some love in your heart for Kara's BFF's dad. He's 85. He took a tumble and he's not responsive. It's very sad. Let's hold him in our hearts, okay? And Kara, because she's feeling sad for her BFF and her BFF, all of them. Very sad. I feel like it's a rehearsal for my own parents, so it's been a lot. Yeah. Because that's the thing. Going through these things means life changes. And when the kids grow up and move out, you're closer to being an old person. When you see other people's parents passing away, that means it can happen to them, your parents, and then guess who's next in line, And yeah, please, Kara, let your friend know that this crew over here, your decluttering pals, are sending love and support. My mom is 84. I infer, because there's old ladies in my family that have lived to be 100, as was her mother, that she's going to be around for like the next 15, 16 years. She could fall down those stairs in a hot minute. Those little bratty cats that she has, she could trip, fall, break her neck, falling and can't get up. You never know when it's going to happen. And that's scary. We talk about fear of death. That should be a motivator. Okay. And yeah, we got you, Kara. All right. Massage, self-care. Maybe you and your friend can go get massages later or go on a little spa thing, get a pedicure, manicure, when she's feeling better and not so tender. But these things happen to all of us. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I love it. She will do the same for me when it's my turn. Yes. And those are the friends that you love. Trying to balance the sadness and our typical sense of humor. Yes, because I don't know about you. I grew up in an Irish Catholic Bostonian household. Humor is my coping mechanism. I will joke myself out of any bad situation. I got my jazz hands ready. I'm ready to go on vaudeville, because the sadness can be deep. We joked that her dad would be so mad he did that. Yeah. Our hearts are with you both. That's a tough thing, my friend. And you are such a good friend to do that. We're all going to be there. We are. You don't know. You could take a tumble. Something could happen in a hot minute. You hope it doesn't. Yeah. Yeah. And this is the thing too. This is the thing I love. Leslie is saying, "My parents are both gone. Turn the fear into action and make the most of the time you have with them. You can do this." Yes, and I love the fact that Kara, from your posts on TikTok, it sounds and various communications, you seem to have an awesome relationship with your folks. I love that. Remember, you are writing the story of your life. And really, the only true reader that matters in reading the story of your life is you. So when you are on your deathbed, are you going to feel good about the relationship you had with your parents, or are you going to feel not so good? Do you want to even have a relationship? Yeah, Beth's gang. I feel like a oh, who's it? Christine. I feel like I got a little pleather jacket on. Like I've got a gang. Yeah. And I will say this, I have I know this sounds like self-help talk, which I kind of like gag at sometimes, but I have definitely changed. I was going to say healed, but that kind of made me like, what? I have definitely changed the relationship I have with my mother. I understand more that she's just a person in the world trying to get by with what she has. I have the wisdom to see her life in the context of holy Moses. This woman got married when she was 23, right out of college, did all the things she was supposed to, all this type of things, you know. And if we all want friends like Kara, I love that, Leslie. Hey, Christine, I love it. My God, you're up early. Yeah, I was thinking of my gang with the little pleather jackets, right? Like our gang, be like the pink ladies, but we wouldn't be bratty like that. Um, where was I distracted myself from something. If you want to be a friend like Kara, if you want friends like, if you want, what is that? I have it on I have a sticker. Um, if you want good neighbors, be a good neighbor. I believe Ernest Tubbs said that. I got it at his record store in Nashville. So notice the kind of life you want. Notice the kind of friends you want and be that kind of person, and the right kind of people will respond. Not everybody will. There are jerks out there. Nobody's business. That's why I say, like, you can decide who you want to have relationships with. And the sooner you realize that there are people that it's not worth your time, or that you can meet them on a certain level, but they don't go any deeper, they don't get any closer, the happier you'll be. Okay. And I feel so much better. And the decluttering with my mother, I'll share this with you. Like I know Lady Bandit and I and her mom coached together this spring. And I feel so much closer and less resentful and more patient with my aging mother. I mean, she still does drive me batty. Do not get me wrong. The woman is a lot. But I say that with love in my heart, not malice, not meanness. I say it with, you know what? I bet people would think I'm a lot too. Look at me, bossing my husband around, get me a cup of tea, do this, do that. Right? So I think that's a really interesting thing. If you are writing the book of your life, notice what chapter you're in right now. Now, none of us know where the back cover is, but reflect back on the different chapters of your life. When you read that book, when you're writing it now and you read it later, what kind of hero do you want to be? What main character do you want to show up as? What did you do? You know how they say like you die and you go to heaven pearly gates, and it's like, what did you do with them? What did you do with the money I gave you? There must be a phrase in my house. Like, what did you do with that one precious life I gave you? And if you ask yourself that, say to yourself, where could I do something different so I would feel better when I tell the story of my life? And one thing that really helped me, and I will say this with decluttering too, is I pictured myself on my own deathbed, like in concept, me out into the future, 80s, 90s, 100. Okay. And I then looked back at my 50s and I said, if I was 95 years old and I was on my deathbed and I looked back at my 50s, how would I feel about what I did back then? And I will share with you right now, never mind from my deathbed, right now from 59, looking back to 59 years ago, around this season. This has always been a season of change for me, is when I quit my job to go off and try to finally kind of do the things I wanted to do. And so that was, never mind that new chapter, that was a whole new edition, volume 2 of my life. And even right now, from only 9 years ago, I freaking love past me for doing something I was afraid to do. But I did it. And did certain things happen that we didn't expect, that were like, oh my gosh, we have to pay how much for health insurance, yada, yada? Yeah. But I'm alive and I did it. And I'm so proud of me for showing up for myself. So I know Kara, future Kara, is so proud of today, Kara. Be kind to your today self. You look back on what you did today when your life is changing. Be kind to yourself going through a transition. Okay? All righty. So, oh, Kara's saying you would love his restored 55 red and white Buick. And how fun that he got to have that car. He's a big vintage car guy. Now, I used to write about vintage stuff all the time. I have books. I had all sorts of things. So that vintage design, I freaking love. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Oh, this is so cool. Lady Bandit, I love this. It is a blessing that my mother is in a fabulous retirement home. Her best friend moved in on the same week, and I mean, that connection that we all need as humans. We are a pack animal. Okay. And Dawn says, it is healing, Beth. We can use that word. I have such word issues with some of the, I don't know. I know it's because of the way I was brought up. And that's okay. I use different words, but it is healing. It is healing. I can feel that hole, that dark part in my heart. I can see it softening and mending and kind of not scarring over, but healing in a good way versus just covering it up and still being resentful underneath. So thank you, Don, for reminding me that I can say those loosey-goosey words. But you know what? I'm telling you, if you grew up in the Boston area and you tried to be woo-woo or touchy-feely, you would get smacked down pretty quick. So I am used to describing things in different ways. So we've talked about being on your deathbed 10 years ago. How about this? Monday you. Let's get the future a little bit more into kind of focus. Monday you. What are some things? What are some actions you could take that you would be really proud of yourself and psyched about when you look back at from Monday you to Saturday you? Are you going to feel good about the time that you were given, that day on the calendar that you will never get back? Okay. And I just was laughing at Kara's comment. You can read it. Yeah. If you were given this one life, in which you are, September, and I'm just looking at the calendar, Saturday, September 6th, 2025. You have that day. That day will never come again. What are some things, and I'm not saying you need to get into the basement and do decluttering. No, no, no. I'm saying lifey. Okay. And I do love that, Kara. That's wicked funny. And it's kind of heartbreaking too, because you would know that that's the thing that would get the person awake. And when it isn't, you're like, shit, it's real. But humor can help. Humor and laughter and love is going to get us through the dark times. And anger is an energy, right? And joy is resistance. Freedom is not slavery, FYI. But back to what I was talking about. Monday, September 8th, you. Looking back on Saturday, September 6th, you. What could you do on Saturday, September 6th that you would be psyched? You would feel good about what you did with whatever energy and time you had. Now, this, as I said, doesn't mean you have to go out and kick the world's ass. Maybe it's sitting quietly. Maybe it's stopping being on autopilot or cruise control and stopping and doing something different. Shutting the door, getting a cup of tea, opening up your notebook and saying, What do I want? What is going on? My child is gone to college and I've got some time. What do I want to do with the time that I have here? Now, again, for people who've grown up in that caretaker role, having time for yourself and asking you what you want to do, you may have kind of no idea at the beginning, but don't let that stop you because you've turned on the faucet. Ideas will trickle out. Write them down, play with them, you know, play with those ideas. I don't know. But what if you did know? That's another life coach thing. But what if you did know? What's one thing you would do if you had a day that you could do anything you want? I have a lot of days like that. I got to admit, I don't want to show off, but it's awesome. But it's really fun, but it's also a bit of a responsibility. Some days I would go out and take a walk, other days and it doesn't have to be just one thing. So think about that. Decluttering your life so you have, and I'm realizing the time. We've got about 13 minutes or so here. But if I get my trusty highlighters, right? And say, what did I do with the time that I was given? Who did I give my time to? Who did I give my attention and energy to? And what combo, what nice little rainbow do I have? Years past, I spent a grand percentage on other people, but now things are different. And so now there is more time for me. What do I like to do? Do I like to do the things that I used to do? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Let me go experiment. Does this bring me the joy that it used to? If it does, yay. If it doesn't, yay. At least you know that that doesn't do it for you anymore. I never thought I would be a person who would get bored with thrifting. I don't even go to thrift stores anymore. They're not even on my radar. I do not even blink as they go by. Yeah, Lady Bandit, notice I would take care of my physical body. I would sleep. I'm the same way. The more I get older, the more I feel like a larger percentage of my time, like a larger color of my time, of my color, would then be colored up like what's the category of time spent taking care of my physical body is going to be a bigger percentage in the pie chart of life. Because we know when you don't feel good and you don't, even if you take care of your body, you fall. Whatever happened to your mom that caused her to move out. My dad got Lewy body dementia. Like these things, you don't expect it, but you can do something the best you can to take care of the body you have. And perhaps that will forestall something, but it might not, but at least you can say that you tried. You didn't just sit there waiting like an open thing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Cheryl says mine would pretty much be work color and a little me color. And I say this, listen to me. I say this as a previous I work for myself, so I'm the employee and the boss. And I have been an employee and a boss. Cheryl, they could fire you in a hot minute. Do not sell your soul to the company store. They do not deserve all your time. Be sneaky. You know how they say quiet quitting? Remember quiet quitting? That was a thing. I say shave off 10%. Okay, Cheryl, you work 40 hours. Let's say you work 8 hours a day, even 5% right now. 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. I'm just doing the standard one. So 8 hours, 5% of that, 80 minutes, 40 minutes. Where can you take 40 minutes for yourself every day next week? Where can you also, even if you are required to punch the clock, because I've punched plenty of clocks, like Elvis Costello, where can you pull back on your mental energy, physical energy, drama, and save that energy for yourself so that when you do punch the clock and walk out of the factory, that you have the energy to use the time you have. Okay? So decluttering your life and getting a better balance of colors in it. You know, as I said, it was eye-opening to me earlier. And I have I have a template that I used at one point. I really don't use it anymore, but just that concept of where am I spending my time? Who am I giving my time to? Because sometimes you give that and you don't get it back. And I'm not saying it's all or nothing. I'm saying it's more of a get the balance right. Okay. So that it is a recipe that feels good. Hmm? So Kara was saying about her friend's dad. Excuse me, I gotta take my tea bag out of here. Boop. There we go. While he is unconscious, we've been saying, "Hey, we're gonna take the Buick out. Is that okay?" Because that would be like the one thing um, that might pop him out of it, and that would definitely get a response from the pre-fall dad. Yeah. Yeah, and it is a hard balance, but I will offer to you, Cheryl. I will offer to you. You tell yourself something is going to be hard, and then your brain looks for evidence to support your statement. Your brain will look for where it's hard. So I say, don't tell yourself it's going to be hard. Now, hard, soft, hard, easy, difficult, easy. I'm not saying it's going to be easy immediately. It's not going to be the opposite. But could you notice? Even you could do some research. Where do I find my work draining this week? And write that down. Where do I spend a lot of time and energy? If you tell yourself it's going to be hard, it's going to be hard. If you tell yourself it's going to be curious and I'm just doing an experiment and I'm gathering information, see where it is. And maybe it won't be as hard as you think. Nothing is ever as hard as you say it's going to be. Sometimes it's harder, but health does come first. Yeah, health does come first. And here's the funny thing. We think that we are indispensable. And I have thought that they can't survive without me. I don't know if you've ever done this, but like they immediately are just like the loop closes and they've got to get on with doing stuff in the factory. You used to think that the place would fall apart without you. Maybe there'll be a stumble, but they got to keep on working. So they're like, oh, hey, yeah, it's great. See you. Bye. Right. So, yeah. Take care of your health by, yes, 100%. I start with the crown on down. Health is number one. Nervous system health as well. And that's your energy. And then saying, what can I do to have more time to take care of my health? And that can mean sleep, right? Lady Bandit saying, Cheryl, Beth is right. Thank you, Lady Bandit. I worked way too hard at my job for way too long. I'm retired and I wish I would have had a better balance. If wishes were horses everybody would ride, I don't know, something like that, right? Morning, McDougs. We'll be here for like another 6 minutes and then we're going over to TikTok just in case you want to follow along. What are some things you wish you had done in the past that you could have a do-over? Make that a list. Write that down. Yeah. Yeah. Aw, Cheryl, that kind of sucks, huh? I have an autoimmune disease and diabetes, so at 65 and still working full time, so fatigue is a real thing. I do give myself grace and rest. Okay. So this is me being sneaky, but where can you autopilot? Where can you cruise control some of the things in your work life? Now, I love this because I used to be a process engineer. How can you work smarter, not harder in your job so that when you leave for the day, you're not empty, that you have a quarter tank extra? And I would say extra, but you're not running yourself into the ground. I would not be surprised. And again, I feel like an efficiency consultant sometimes, observing things and seeing where things can get better. So be an efficiency consultant to yourself next week. Everybody do it. Where do I spend my time? And almost as if you're standing behind yourself with a clipboard. Follow yourself around. Notice what you do on a regular day and write that down. Heck, remind me of this on Monday and I'll join along. Okay? Now, notice what you do and notice what color it goes under. Noticing is the first thing. You're not doing anything except gathering information. And from the information that you've written down, you can make decisions. You can completely 100%. You can do whatever you want. You can completely 100% continue doing what you're doing. You are in the driver's seat. Or you can see where things are kind of out of whack. And you can say, all right, maybe I pull back 40 minutes from there and I put that 40 minutes over here. Can you imagine 40 minutes more in your health? You know? Okay, and here's a fun thing. Notebooks. I am such a notebook fan. These El Cheapo, as they like to say, El Cheapo notebooks. Lady Bandit says Walmart has them for 25 cents. Splurge and invest in your life. Buy 10 of them. It's going to cost you less than $3 if you get sales tax, even if you don't. Your life is, I hope everybody here, here's a really interesting thing too. If every single one of you doesn't have a spiral bound notebook like I've suggested all this time, why not? You don't have to share it with me, but notice what comes up. Notice what your backseat driver says and write it down, because money cannot be a factor because they are less than $1. Think about that. When you buy 10 notebooks, that's still under $3. Is your life worth $2.50? Yeah. And it is totally the stories we tell ourselves. And we do not realize it, that we are the recipients. We are on autopilot, listening to the scared backseat driver and just nodding, yep, whatever you say, I believe. No. Notice. This is what we do. We notice what they say. We take notes. We're like a court reporter. And then we say, really? Is that how I talk to myself? Is that how I talk to others? I didn't even realize that I say, well, not for nothing. That's my sister. And I know I have things I repeat out of habit, out of the way you speak. Notice what you do and own it or change it. All righty. There we go. Good stuff. Leslie, good things. Yeah. Okay. Now, here's a funny thing. Like, I'm not saying do a shitty job, Cheryl. I am not. Yeah, and I am not beating you up. Please do not think that I am picking on you or singling you out. But what I will say is, if you've been there for 32 years, you can, on the surface, still do a kick-ass job and not let it consume your life. I know you're smart enough to do that. That you can tread water and still do a very good job. And notice your fear of changing your high work standards. I'm not saying immediately go to slapping off, but notice there is some play, okay? And speaking of playing, I just looked at the clock. I love it. Leslie is saying, I work full time. I book 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon to break away. I used to do that too. I would get out of that office building and I would walk. I felt like I was walking the perimeter, but I would get out and I would get some fresh air and I would notice things around me and I would get my head out of that, write a card, etc. I bring lunch, try to make it fresh and delish, and do not work during lunch. Yes. And where are your standards so high that it's affecting every other place in your life? I just like to throw this out here. Okay. Okay. So please know all of this stuff I say is with love and experience. Okay. Because I want you to take care of yourself. All right. Now, speaking of shifting gears, we weren't, but I'm going to shift gears. I'm going to hop over to TikTok. So I've got my trusty yoga block that goes right here. I've got, where is it? My phone thing that goes right here. My phone that goes right there. So I'll see you guys in like a minute on TikTok. And if we can't, have a lovely weekend. Do something on Saturday that you would be psyched to report to me and share with me what you did on Monday when I return back, okay? The schedule is on the secret page. Y'all know how to get there. And if you don't, sign up for the mailing list, destinationdecluttered.com. I hope you have a rockin' weekend, all right? And hugs and love, sincerely, To everybody out there who's going through some tough times, okay? Our hearts are with you. This is what we do. We're good people. All right. Bye.